G'day viewers, and welcome back to Aussie Backyard Food. Recently, I was lucky enough to return home from a hunting trip with a nice big healthy billy goat carcass. And I understand that concept, it's not everyone's cup of tea. We're a little bit confronted by the sight of a dead animal. We'd prefer just to receive our meat vacuum packed in a styrofoam tray and not have to think about where it comes from. For me, that's not good enough. I like to know where it comes from, and I feel better having a hand in it. And tonight, we're lucky enough to be hosting some good mates who all live a distance away from us, and as a consequence, we don't get to catch up with them quite often enough. It's my mission to be able to show our mates just how good wild harvested, free-range, organic wild goat can taste. And I'm going to cook it up for them in our backyard in a camp oven. This billy goat was harvested just an hour to the west from here on a property where the farmer is currently spending $2,000 a week just to keep his cattle alive. It's pretty dire out there. Unless you're one of those struggling farmers, I don't think you can really appreciate just how much blood, sweat and tears goes into providing that cling-wrapped polystyrene trade piece of meat that is probably all too cheap for us to access in our many supermarkets throughout our cities. And when you also factor in the damage that feral pests do to the land, it's just one extra load that the farmers don't need. Evidence has recently come in to show that now Australians, well, we're the fattest population in the world. Champions! No, not really. It's something to be, I think, greatly embarrassed about. At the same time, we see this prevalence of ridiculous fad diets. We also see the rise of the extremist vegan, or veganologists, as I like to call them, who think it's okay to assume the moral high ground and shove their vegan ideals down our throat in the place of those juicy, tender, nutritious pieces of meat we all know and love. Apparently, it's one of the new favourite pastimes of the extremist veganologist to invade meat-serving restaurants and chant brain-dead slogans such as "meat is murder." Well, it's just not on. As if rice cakes, nut patties and soy lattes don't have a negative impact on the environment, or cause the direct decapitation of millions of fluffy little bunnies or cute furry little rodents who have happened to have made homes amongst those waving stalks of rice, soybeans or various other grains that require dirty, big, diesel guzzling, head chopping combine harvesters to do the vegans' dirty work. Not to mention the trillions of innocent insect deaths as a direct result of the pesticides that are required to protect these hundreds of thousands of acres of fields of vegetables, seeds and nuts. I don't know how you live with yourselves. So I think it's time for all of us meat eaters to unite. Let's get organised, people. Let's get on down to our local vegan restaurant and organise ourselves a few placards. Here's mine. Eating rice kills mice. Eating rice kills mice. And we'll see how they like it. But seriously, folks, I've got a couple of good friends that are vegans and they don't shove their ideals down my throat. In fact, I feel like I've got a lot more in common with these people that are considerate of the environment and the animals they eat in making ethical purchases and not supporting factory farming, not supporting anything that might contribute to the further degradation of our environment. But let's face it, life eats life. That's the way it's always been. Until science comes up with something revolutionary, that's the way it's always going to be. So if you're easily offended, or you don't like the thought that your cling-wrapped supermarket purchased piece of meat was once a part of an entire animal, then you might not want to watch any further. Anyway, enough of that. I've got some goat to slow roast. And the fellas, well, they're soon to arrive. And I've got plans to take them on a grand tour of my backyard. While the goat slow roasts, of course. Let's get into it. Boys are on a mission. Introducing our guest cameraman, Christian.
G'day.
Good on you, Christian.
Where's the big log? Jeez, this camera's heavy.
Woo! First win of the day, boys. Stop!
That could have.
That could have been where it started.
Yeah.
So to use some of the wanky cooking show terminology, the hero of tonight's dish, it's been dry aged for 3 days, vacuum packed, and I recently thawed it so that we can use it today. The dish I'm preparing for our guests tonight is called kleftiko. It's a Greek dish and it means of the clefts, which were the bandits of Greece. And they pioneered this dish through necessity, through trying to stay covert and not create smoke. So they would cook the goat in a sealed package to reduce smoke and therefore limit their chances of being discovered. This is the second time I've prepared this goat dish. Last time I did it in the oven. This time, as you'll notice, being in the outdoors, we're going to give it a crack in the camp oven. The first thing we're going to do is fill our goat shoulder full of garlic. Then we're going to add them to our veg. As you can see, in this massive camp oven that I'm fortunate enough to have inherited, I've got it lined with all our vegetables. Potatoes on the outside, pumpkins and onions in the middle. The goat shoulders simply go on top of that. The thinking behind that is, my concern is with the camp oven, just being able to maintain that low heat and avoid heat spikes and burn the hero of our dish, the goat. So I'm willing to sacrifice the odd spud for the sake of our precious goat. As you can see, there's no shortage of garlic in there, and we've got our potatoes and various other vegetables on the outside protecting our precious goat. Now it's time to add that much feta just on top of the goat. A bucket load of oregano. Lemons. And a fair whack of olive oil. Don't hold back. Then simply season with a shitload of freshly ground black pepper. Goat, just like lamb, loves black pepper, and a fair whack of salt. Righto, she's good to go. All right, fellas, that's what it's all about. Aussie backyard food, locally sourced, 100% organic, free range goat. And the challenge now is, as with all slow roasting, is temperature. So the mission for the next little while is to get just the right amount of coals, because we don't want to overdo it. Don't want to cook this thing too fast. Thanks, mate. Getting a bit of Aussie backyard singe. Oh man, that's hot.
bit more in, or you're right with that, you reckon, for now?
I reckon that's good, mate. I reckon while we get our equipment for our alternative activity ready.
Come back and check this before we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Just look for that little bit of steam coming off it. Thanks, cameraman.
How's it going?
Good. You halfway?
Yeah. Yew. Is that a smile or a grimace? Yeah. Pump those legs.
Hey, Dad, may I have some more?
You gotta get some goat, gotta get some goat. You gotta get some goat down your mother loving throat.
Fun, isn't it?
Turns out we've got Aussie Backyard Foods, biggest feed here. Have you got your torch there?
Oh, don't. Oh,
He's
don't make-
finally tracked me down through the bush and he's found where I live.
Your mother loving throat.
What would you like to say there? Nick?
Am I allowed to say your name on camera? Do I have to use a suit?
No, mate.
Sean, I'm absolutely thrilled to be here, mate. It's brilliant.
We're about to try a bit of Aussie Backyard Food goat.
Absolutely, yeah. I'm thrilled to taste.
Oh, Aussie Backyard Food Camp Oven. Can we come in for a close-up, please, camera lady? Oh, not bad. Now, let's see. Oh, yeah, that's all right.
What sort of meat?
And our greens? All good to go. All right. Oh, you can stop doing, okay. I'm going to go around one at a time because there's quite a few people here that haven't ever eaten goat before. So we're getting individual feedback.
Let me get a little
No
bit of
pressure.
goat on my
open.
fork.
I'm open to criticism, but you will be
That was
ejected.
good goat.
Possibly.
Great guy.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, what a night. But due to a bit of borderline excessive homebrewed mead consumption, I can't really make head nor tail of some of the footage that I did take last night. I can only assume that on the basis that there was not a morsel of goat remaining this morning, that it was a success. I can confirm that borderline excessive meat consumption, albeit 100% organic and preservative free, can still result in a nasty hangover. While I don't ask my viewers and supporters and subscribers for donations, I don't have a Patreon account or anything like that, I do appreciate a connection, a community. And part of that community is the people who allow Aussie Backyard Food to come out and show them just how delicious their wild feral pests can be, and how to properly harvest them and prepare them and cook them. So if you are, or you know of anyone that currently has a bit of a feral pest problem, please get in touch. So look me up or direct message me on Instagram and let me show you just how good it is to get some goat down your throat.
Catch up.
So raw. Please, sir, may I have some more?
You gotta get some goat, gotta get some goat. You gotta get some goat down your mother loving throat.